I think this works. I'm not 100% sure if this works. So I'm going to double check. People say stuff.
Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Okay, I can hear the feedback there, so I don't know if that's just because I'm like. Okay, anybody who's watching right now, apologies in advance because Ava is usually the one who runs this, and today I had to put it all together. And so, yay, I did it, but there might be some hiccups. We'll find out.
Well, I can hear you fine.
Beautiful. I'm checking to see whether or not I can be heard on the stream. Testing,
Oh,
testing.
yeah, I was testing on the stream.
Oh, you heard on the stream? Everything was good?
Yep, yep.
Wonderful. Okay, that's good, that's good. Alright, so, as I've been telling other people here with everything too, because it's kind of an important thing, um, the cool way, I mean, it's a weird thing, but it's kind of cool, that in order to get everything all set up, normally we do all of our audio and stuff through Discord, as you can kind of tell because you can see like our little Discord thing going on here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Downtime, where we just kind of talk about whatever's going on right now. And this is what's going on right now, so that's what we're talking about. Um, because I am running it, I also have to capture my voice because for some reason Discord doesn't capture my voice, even though I'm in it, and it's super confusing. But okay, whatever. But because I also have kids and my kids like to be really, really loud sometimes, I'm gonna be muting my mic a lot. So there might be times today that I might have to be poked to unmute my mic. So be aware of that. So all of that being said, hello, hi, welcome everybody. This is Downtime, as I had mentioned previously. I am Tiff. With me today, I have Minerva and I have Vice. Say hello, girls.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Wonderful, wonderful. Um, and today we're just kind of like relaxing a little bit. Ava will be joining us in a bit, but she had an appointment that she had to get to, so she's running a little bit late. Totally fine. Um, but the big thing I was kind of wanting to work on today, as far as things go, was I was kind of wanting to get an idea of like my wrap up of For Hire because past couple of weeks have been a little bit weird. We had some technical difficulties with our last one. And then after technical difficulties, we were off last week. And then we are actually ending my For Hire arc so that Vice can start their For Hire arc, which is kind of the way that we want to go about doing it. It's a really cool, interesting way of. I don't know. I kind of think it's kind of cool anyway. Um, that we can kind of shift from one to the next to the next to the next. So that's where we're going for right now. Um, yeah, I'm kind of lost at the moment. Feel free to say something and give me a second to breathe.
Yeah, no problem. I am so nervous to go into DMing. I love DMing, but this is my first time doing it. I mean, like it's not my first time on a stream GMing in any sense, but like for it to be a consecutive multiple uh in a row streams regarding one storyline is a little nerve-wracking. I've done a lot of one shots. That and I am just really jamming to the music that's playing in the foundry.
I mean, isn't that fun that we can kind of put it that way? And hopefully, I've got it all set up. Like, I spent a couple hours today trying to get things set up so that hopefully it doesn't burst out eardrums. Hopefully, people can hear the music. Hopefully, people can hear and like see and everything. But we're shifting to a new arc. You know, it's still the For Hire game, it's still the For Hire universe, but it is going to be a new arc in a new place with some new characters. So it'll be kind of fun to see kind of like where we go from there and what happens.
Yeah, and like especially uh like taking it to that new location, bringing in all new characters. It really gets to almost show the difference between like your standard uh very beginning starting level 1, level 2 versus uh having all of these new characters just meeting at level 3. especially with a lot of like different D&D games. I have been in some that have started level 1, I've been in some that have started level 3, I've even been in one that started at level 5. So just being able to see how the immediate dynamic of the party works with them being a little bit more powered than they would be at a very start is very interesting.
It is. It's kind of a fun way to look at things too. Um, through like the way that our clinic games work generally is everybody comes in and we start at level 1 because everybody has different experience with D&D. Some people, like most people honestly, come in with limited knowledge of how D&D works in the first place. And nothing wrong with that, but it does mean that it's a lot easier to start down at the early levels to kind of get your foothold into the game before you move forward. Now, everybody on this stream so far is a veteran. We've all played multiple games. We've all played at multiple levels. I know Min has at least a couple level 20s that she's gotten to. I have as well. Vice, have you ever hit level 20?
I have played in one shots as level 20, but I have never hit level 20 in a campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I've also never hit level 20 in a campaign. I've only ever gotten one character to level 20, to clarify, but yeah.
one is still one, though. It counts.
Yeah.
Um, but watching the progression from level 1 up to level 20 is kind of a really cool thing, really interesting. And when it gets to the way that our clinic games tend to run, we try to start everybody at level 1. And we try to start everybody at level 1 with other level 1s so that everyone's kind of like in that same bit. But those early levels tend to go by pretty quick. Level 1 is not very hard, really. It's just kind of like getting your foot in the door. Level 2 is not very hard. Game starts to pick up, I think, around level 3. That's when most people start getting the things that make their characters cool. But you want to make sure that you're comfortable and ready for that. So I'm excited to kind of jump in at level 3 and see where we're going.
hmm Yeah, and I can confirm the progression and as far as the campaign goes. I've run a campaign before, and I was playing with mostly new players, so we did start at level 1. And we only stayed at level 1 for 2 sessions. After that, we went to level 2, and then stayed at level 2 for like probably about 4 sessions, maybe. And yeah, so those 2 levels, I can confirm they do go by pretty quickly.
That sounds pretty decent, honestly. It's like I've got a couple different ways that I tend to level people. I'm not big on like the XP. I'm not big on like I guess pseudo sort of milestone. Um, I, if anything, I kind of go more milestone than anything else. But I tend to be a little bit more structured than that. Even depending on where I'm at, I like to do kind of like 1 session at level 1, 2 sessions at level 2, 3 sessions at level 3, 4 sessions at level 4, and then generally 5 sessions at most every other level. But that depends entirely on like how long the levels run, etc., etc. The format for this game is even more simple than that. We are spending 1 month at every level, so you can look at 4 sessions at every level just moving forward, and then you know that we've got level up. Which reminds me, next week, Cricket, Laurel, and well, Lishva, you'll already be level 3 because you started off at level 3, but Cricket needs to level up to level 3 for next week, as does Laurel, which will be kind of fun to see. I'm trying to decide what I want to do, if I want to take her to her 3rd multi-class yet, or if I want to hold off on that and see if it comes up more naturally in the storyline.
Ooh, what will be the third multi-class?
Well, I'll either tell you or you'll find out. I'm not entirely sure yet. I've got to think about that.
Ah.
But really, anytime
I'm
you start getting into like multi-classing one multi-class is already kind of like maybe you're not going to be perfectly whatever, and then I'm throwing in 3 classes here. I think that's the max that anybody can really do. Although I did have at one time because I had to try it just to see what it was like. I have one NPC character that has 1 or 2 levels in every class.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Just as
wow.
I know, it's they,
Wow.
it's something.
I
Um,
tried to do that once, but the most I could get, I eventually settled for a character with like 5 or 6 classes.
I
Yeah,
did
I'm
this
an
on a
NPC.
yeah. No, like I did this as an NPC just so I had a character that had 1 or 2 levels in every class just to do it. So it exists. I don't know if it should, but it does. Uh, I'll have to attempt playing it at a one shot at some point. But in order to do that, I had to be like level 16, 18, I forget, to get all of them. And I'm
I
definitely
will
not going to be able to compete with normal level 18 characters.
I will so gladly run a one shot at level 16 or 18 or even 20 just so you can
Just so you can
have
see my amogolism. Like,
Yes.
what is this? How does this work? I don't know. I have like I mean, the good thing is I have every spell that are like level 1. I have every level 1 spell.
A whole bunch of cantrips.
Whole bunch of. I think I have every cantrip. I think I have every level 1 spell. But I don't think I have much more than that besides like random.
And too many class features to take.
Yeah.
Too many class features to track.
I have all the class features. I mean, at least all of the level 1, level 2 class features. So why not? Let's see what happens when you are a.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep track of. Like when I
Yeah.
played my 5 class character, it was an NPC. It was an enemy in the campaign I ran, and yeah, I think he had 5 classes. I think it was like fighter, warlock, paladin, sorcerer, and bard, maybe something like that, something crazy like that. And I for- and I was when I was doing the fight, I completely forgot somehow that he was an Echo Knight. So I completely forgot to even use his Echo. So it's like there were like at least a couple of features I forgot that he even had as a result of having too many classes to keep track of.
I mean, that sounds like something that's gonna probably happen when I've got. It's like, oh gosh, what do I want to do here as a ranger? Okay, now I'm a fighter. Okay, now I'm gonna pull up some monk and go on with that. It'll be exciting. It'll be great.
Gosh, yeah, when I'm to like my NPC that I had with all the different classes, it was a paladin, cleric, fighter, artificer. Oh gosh, and then I think it was also a barbarian. And they were initially just supposed to be like, retired adventurer, just kind of like someone the party could go to for like a side quest. And then uh the party decided that they wanted to fight him, so I had to have him run away because I was like, I don't want to kill my party because they are at level 3 right now, and I didn't think that they would try to go all murder hobo on it.
See, that's your problem, is that you started thinking, oh no, they're gonna be responsible. No, no one's
Yeah,
gonna be
to be fair, it
responsible.
was it was my first time DMing.
Okay, I guess that's okay. All right,
My hopes were a little high.
let's see if I can
Yeah.
find my. No, that's a bard. It's like I'm just going through all my level 20 characters to see if I can find them right now. Like, do. That's one of the things I do like about being able to keep like all of these, every character I've ever created in D&D Beyond. It's a nice thing. It's very nice. Do you
Yeah,
go?
I do love being able to like look back at my old characters and being like, "Aw, I miss playing you."
Do you
Yeah.
guys ever like you just kind of like create multiple copies of your character at different levels so that you can kind of say, oh, what are you going to be here? What are you going to do there? What's that going to be? Okay,
I don't think I've ever done
Yes.
that.
I think I
I've
found
done
my
that.
freak against nature here. All right, so let's see. Yes, so what I have here, and it is my character's name is NPC, so I feel like that's pretty well done here. It was a while back that I created them. 1 level in Ranger, 2 Artificer, 1 Barbarian, 1 Bard, 2 Cleric, 1 Druid, 2 Fighter, 2 Monk, 1 Paladin, 2 Rogue, 2 Sorcerer, 2 Warlock, 1 Wizard. I feel like there's probably new classes out here that I can shift a couple of those out for now, but I have to go back and check.
One of these
Gosh,
I'm
that's
just
so
gonna play
many.
a One of these days I'm just gonna create a level 17 that is every class plus Blood Hunter.
Ooh, I could add a Blood Hunter in
True.
there. That's a thing. But yes, as a level 20 character, and this is level 20 because I did have a couple extra levels in some of these, I have up to 4th level spells. So, woo. But I don't actually have up to 4th level spells. I just have up to
I was
4th.
about to say, yeah, but to 4th level spell slots.
Yeah, it's like I don't have up to 4th level spells. I just have up to 4th level spell slots. So I get 2 of those, 3 level 3s.
Then you probably have like a
2 level
warlock spell
2s.
slot.
I have, I think, no, I've got 2 warlock spell slots. I got my packed slots at level 1, so I've got at least that going on. I've got every cantrip. I'm pretty sure I do have every cantrip, which is an interesting thing. But yeah, I've got a ton of level 1 spells. I gotta go see if I know them all. I'm gonna go check all that now. So, yep, my bard spells are set. Cleric spells I already know. Druid spells I already know. I got wizard spells. I'm gonna have to try it sometime just to see how terrible it is. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be a terrible, terrible, terrible character, but it's gonna be fun. So that's the important part, right? All right.
Which also, I guess, kind of like brings me into what is your favorite like class slash subclass? Because all of the characters that I've seen from you have been multi-classes so far.
Not true. You have seen Zai, and she's a
Oh yeah,
straight
that's true.
druid.
That is true. I don't know why I always
Yeah,
thought
I've
that she
seen a bunch
was
of single-class characters from
multi-class.
you.
I always thought that she was multi-class with fighter.
She feels like she could be, but no, she's straight druid. She is just what is it? The summoner. Help me, Min.
Uh, Wait. Oh, was that Marco? No, that was
No.
somebody else.
I don't think you've met Xylee, but what's the druid? What's the
No, I
summoner
don't think so.
druid? It's the crap.
Oh,
That is
Shepherd.
druid?
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. I was about to
So,
say,
yeah.
like, I think it's Shepherd, but
It is
I
Shepherd.
don't know for sure.
But yeah, she's my shepherd druid. She summons a crap ton of owls all the time. We have reflavored them as geese. They are wreak havoc everywhere. It's fantastic. I love her. If she dies, then I bring in my feral moon druid. So be aware and that'll be a thing.
I love moon druids.
My feral moon druid is convinced that she's a dragon. So yeah, I love her. She's the great, but she takes a lot of energy for me to play.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really played a summoner character unless Necromancer counts.
I mean, they kind of count because you're like summoning the dead, you're summoning the undead. It's like, oh,
I mean,
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really. I mean, it's not really a summon spell because it's not a thing like, oh, you keep concentration on something and the summon's up. It's just like you gradually build an army.
Vice, I don't know. I can't change Discord right now for obvious reasons. I see that there are like a couple pop-ups. I don't know if Ava sent you stuff or not.
I have nothing.
Okay, just confirming. We've got time before we actually shift into the game. We're hoping that the game will start in about an hour, so anybody who is popping in wanting to actually see the game, you'll be able to see us at the start of a brand new one in about an hour, give or take, depending on how long our break goes. Right now, we're just chatting for the sake of chatting. Where do we want to go from here?
That is a great question.
I mean, there was the question raised about like favorite class, subclass.
Oh, true. That was never answered.
That is also very true. I don't feel like I have played enough of everything at the point to like honestly have a definite favorite. I like to like I have I guess a favorite so far. I like my summoner druid. I've got a couple of them. But I'm also I haven't played enough of everything to know for sure.
Yeah, I I'd say mine. My official favorite class is cleric. Just because, the reason why I pick cleric is just because there are like a few spells in there that are really customizable, namely spiritual weapons, spirit guardians, and guardian of faith. So I really like the idea of customizing spells to and other features to fit the character. In fact, that's for that same reason artificer is really growing on me, and because that class as a whole just encourages customization because you don't really cast spells the same way that any other class does. You create like magical devices. In fact, as Tiff probably knows, there's one artificer I play who insists that he is not a spellcaster. That
Absolutely not. Not a spellcaster in any way, shape, or form.
even though he clearly casts spells, they're all magical devices.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a spell.
Gosh,
But
yeah.
yeah.
So, what about you, Vice? Do you have a favorite class subclass?
Oh man. So this is gonna sound a little bit silly because my favorite subclass is not part of my favorite class. So my
That
favorite
does sound a little
class.
silly already.
So I have a few favorite classes. I would say most of my characters are either warlocks or rogues. Uh I really enjoy playing both of those. Just the opportunity for a little bit of angst. Very good. Very fun. Um, but I would say, ooh, honestly, the Circle of Spores Druid is really, really cool.
Oh
And I
yes, that's.
really like that subclass. It is really fun.
Mm-hmm. That's the only druid subclass I've played. Can confirm it is fun.
It's just a druid party going on, I guess. Everyone's enjoying their druids.
But I will also say that I really like gunslinger fighters.
Really?
Yeah,
You know I've
I always I
you know
always end
I've
up
looked
making
at
my
that class, but
gunslingers like little like cowboys.
I've looked at that class before, but I guess I was actually considering that class at one point for that same artificer I just described at one point because he's also a fighter. But I was originally planning on multiclass him to gunslinger fighter because the whole point of this character is this inventor who specializes in firearms. However, I looked at the gunslinger class and was like, this is just really complicated and it seems a little underpowered. And then somebody else brought up the idea that, oh, why don't you just go Battlemaster instead? And I'm like, okay, I'll just go Battlemaster instead and use the DMG firearm. Whatever, I'm done there.
Yeah, so the main thing that I've found that makes Gunslinger really fun for me is one, I'm not keeping track of ammunition. That is a lot. I already have it. Like, it's one of those situations where, like, you don't really have to say, oh, my spellcaster is preparing their spells like every long rest. It's just kind of understood that's what's happening. So I just make sure, like, oh, my character is crafting ammunition, and I'll take out a little bit of gold whenever I need to, but I don't track all of it.
I
Uh,
honestly, I do a lot of that. The micromanaging of certain things just doesn't appeal to me. I've got plenty of other
exactly.
things to
Yeah.
handle. It's like, I don't really want to micromanage going to the store all the time. Every so often, sure. If you want to go get a specific thing, fine. But, that's partly kind of what your, focus is supposed to be for. And if you have to go get certain things for spells, I just kind of assume that you probably went and bought some diamonds. If you've got the money for it and you know that you have the spell, I'm gonna be pretty open with the fact that, like, okay, spend the money, or just put money aside, saying like this is your spell material fund that you have spent. Like if you tell me that you spent 1,000 gold on various materials for spells, fantastic. You don't have to tell me what they are, but when you use one, make sure that you've noted it. Min knows that because they've got like what
Yeah.
do you have like 26,000 in like components that you. I'm not
Oh
entirely
yeah,
sure.
oh
something like
man.
that.
It's
Something
something
ridiculous amount.
ridiculous.
So we're like, okay, you want to cast Simulacrum? Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like another thing that I really like about gunslinger is so you have like the grit points. I
Mm-hmm.
find them pretty similar to like key points or like sorcery points. Um, and anytime that you roll a natural 20 on a firearm attack or you deal like the final blow, you get one of those points back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make different types of shots. You can make one that uh will hit multiple opponents in the same like in a line, or make one, or like make a specific shot that will like disarm the other character, so that character has to like use the movement and their action to interact with picking up their weapon again. uh there's just a lot of things that you can do that will really change what's going on in a fight, and also you still
Yeah.
get the extra attack. And with quick draw you get a proficiency bonus to your initiative.
Yeah, I
So
feel like yeah, there are definitely a lot of cool things there. Plus, there's that whole crafting aspect of the subclass. I think I haven't really
yeah.
looked at it too closely, but in fact, that was the other reason why I didn't go with the gunslinger subclass for my artifighter was the grit points, because I think some of the grit point features aren't they wisdom based? I think.
Um, so it honestly depends on which shot is made. Um, so it doesn't require any skill from you specifically. You would
Yeah, because I
still
always
roll
thought they
like
were.
normal. You would still roll like normal. Some of them will give you like a +1 or +2. Um, and then some of them, like the disarming shot, will cause the enemy to make a saving throw, like a strength saving throw. Uh,
Yeah, maybe those are
but
based off wisdom. I don't know.
the main thing that I think is something to kind of like, I guess, nerf the class a little bit is when you use those trick shots, when you use the grit points, it can affect your like misfire. So like if you roll a 1,
Mm-hmm.
or there's a specific way to like score it specifically depending on the weapon. Um but if you misfire, then like your weapon is damaged and you have to fix it.
Yeah. And I always flavor that way. Like whenever I make a nat one on a shot with like a pistol or something, I always think like, oh, the gun jams. Now I have to like quickly fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably the reason why I didn't go with a gunslinger. Was I looked at something. It was something about the class that was wisdom based, and I thought this character does not have high wisdom, so that's not going to work.
I'm like looking through trying to find what would be wisdom based in
I thought
this.
it was the grit points, but maybe I'm mistaken. I was looking at something on it.
I know for the grit points, your saving throws for trick shots have a DC of. Oh, maybe it's a
Yeah, I think it's maybe
DC
the
of your
DC that's
wisdom?
wisdom based.
Yeah, it's the DC that's wisdom based.
Yeah, yeah, that's what kind of turned me off of it for that specific character.
I've got
But
a.
hey, if I want to make a straight fighter that invests in that, I probably will make a gunslinger. It
Oh
was just
yeah.
that with that specific character, I wanted to invest in intelligence above all else because artificer. So
Fair.
Which totally makes sense. I'm like
yeah,
messing around with things while you guys are talking, and I appreciate that you guys are letting me do that because it's like, okay, mucking around with things,
yeah,
messing around with things, trying to make things a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. I know that this interface right here with us just kind of like hanging out, it's like, it works. It's not like the most exciting thing in the world. But considering that we don't have much, well, I guess that's a question. Does anybody have anything that they kind of want to show off and they can do like a little, I guess, stream for it or whatever? That's totally fine if you do want to.
um,
Honestly, I would like to, if you are willing to share the character sheet for this fighter artificer, I
oh,
would love to see it.
I mean, I could stream. I could share my screen. I'm not sure how to actually put it up on the stream, but I can at least show it in Discord.
Well, if you show it in Discord, that'll pop it up on the stream because I'll
Oh,
be able to
okay,
like join the
yeah.
stream and
Let me
pop it in that way.
uh let me figure out how to do that. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Let's see. Share my screen. Where was it? There it is. Okay. Hold on. Let me actually pull up the sheet first. That might help. Let's see. Which of all my many characters? Come on, where are you? Ah, there you are. Okay, so here's my screen. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is my Artifighter's character sheet. It's currently level 11. As you can see, I mean, it's not really too special. I got a lot of stuff here. I decided to when building him, I mean, he's a variant human, for instance. So I gave him one expert. So I gave him like a bunch of things. I gave him a feat right off the bat. I think I gave him sharpshooter right off the bat. I also gave him the skill expert feat, so he has expertise in sleight of hand. I figured that would be appropriate for somebody who uses a lot of firearms. I mean, as far as firearms go, he doesn't use anything too fancy, especially since when you use stuff from the Dungeon Master Guide, you're kind of limited to a pistol and a musket if you're using like Renaissance era stuff, which usually I do. But he does at least have like 2 different pistols. One is a +2, and one is actually like a 2-bird sling, which is that item that's that when you make a shot, you can actually cause the ammunition to ricochet and then hit a second target within 10 feet of the first. So he has like, so I took one look at that item and I thought, what if this was a gun? So he has that as well. So, and is also specifically, as far as artificer classes go, is also a battlesmith. So that means it's got, which is interesting because when I originally built him, I think he was originally an artillerist instead because I thought, oh, this looks gun related. But what I found with Artillerist is that it's very magic focused and just doesn't really synergize well with Fighter at all. Whereas Battlesmith totally does, especially since it has a feature like A, it has extra attack, and B, it also allows you to use intelligence for any attacks that you make with magic weapons. So that's that.
Very,
Man, look
very
at that
nice.
dexterity.
I need to see your sleight of hand. Because
Oh
that's like
yeah,
a big,
a plus
yeah,
18.
yeah.
Make a
Yeah.
little for
The
us
only
real
reason
quick.
You
Yeah, the
always get
reason
so
why he has that. Yeah, the reason why he has that is not only does he have expertise, he also has gloves of thievery, which gives a +5 bonus to sleight of hand. So
well, he always gets so upset in the festivals when he tries to cheat
I
because
know.
for some reason you roll like crap. It's like you always get caught cheating. I'm like, how?
Exactly. I mean, the last festival was the exception to that. He somehow got a gold ticket for one of those. But
I would love to see a quick roll of that sleight of hand.
okay, let
Do
me
it.
click it. That's
Oh, nice!
That was a
Natural
nice
20.
20 there.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, he's
almost as if the
crafted like a
character sheet is
magic item too.
apologizing.
Yeah, he's crafted like a bunch of magic items too. As you can tell, one of them was a Tome of Clear Thought. That's why he has a 22 intelligence. So,
Yeah,
so
both the
yeah.
dexterity score and the intelligence score is crazy to me.
Yeah, that's because it uses the same rules of character generation that we do. And it rolled, he rolled decently for stats. I think he started with 18 dexterity, 18 intelligence, and 14 charisma. So everything else was a 12, obviously. But
We do like having heroes actually be heroes. So
yeah,
that's why we tend to do like our 2d6 plus 6 for our general starting rolls. And then if you still hate it, then you can point by. That's fine. That's cool.
yeah. Yeah, but Percy has actually been a very fun character to play for me. It's kind of weird because I usually play a lot of goths, a lot of death related characters, and Percy is anything but a goth. So, but for some reason he's still very fun to play. Like just his attitude is so fun to work with.
Well, it's that being different. Every so often,
Yeah.
it's so good to just kind of step out of your comfort zone to be like, I don't usually do this, and so I'm just going to have fun with it because why not?
I know
I also got
definitely a big reason why I've been enjoying playing cricket because cricket is so unlike any of the other characters that I've played.
yeah. Yeah, I've done that, and actually, one other favorite class that I forgot to mention before is actually Bard. That's probably my other favorite class to play, and
I could
the
see
reason
that
why,
you'd really like Bard for sure.
yeah, the only reason why I say that is because I am actually a singer songwriter in real life. So there's actually one other campaign I'm playing in right now where I'm playing like a Bard cleric, and I actually do sing a lot of my incantations. So that's always really fun.
That sounds really fun. I always love when bards like take it the extra little level and they start singing or uh
Hmm.
doing whatever it is that their bard does. I know some bards will use calligraphy or dance.
And sometimes it's cool because I can incorporate the actual songs that I wrote into some of the campaign stuff. Like I know Tiff has definitely seen that with Eve, for instance.
Almost certainly. I really enjoy your, what was it, Jingle Bells?
Oh yeah,
I
that
loved your rewrite of Jingle Bells. That
yeah,
was great.
thanks. No, it wasn't Jingle Bells. It was Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh, that's right. I mean, it was one of those Christmas songs, but it
Yeah,
was like,
it was like, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Con the Immaculate waits in his lair.
Oh man.
He watches you with 10 eyes, each one of them on stalks. He knows if you'll be bad or good, which is why he never talks. Oh, you better watch out, or he'll shoot a ray to charm you, destroy you, or ruin your day. Con the Immaculate waits in his lair.
Wow. Like
yeah.
the song really good. The imagery, I hate that.
Yeah, it's about older, that's why.
I don't know. Condom the Immaculate was fantastic. You know, he went out and, he went and got friends for you. He, like, had them all hanging out in his lair so that you could come say hi. I'm not entirely sure what your problem with him was. I mean, he was just a all in all good guy, right?
I even had him set up as the whole father of Christmas, like in
I
that
like
one
that, yeah.
festival memory, where I had him appear in the utopian world of that Ling Ho was part of.
The Mist special. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that was always a fun thing. Now I've got like thinking back, 'cause like we've been playing that campaign for a few years. We're trying to get it. I'm trying to get it to end. It's like it's
Hmm.
needing to end. Um, but talking about little things that were like going back in time, like aw, Christmas, aw.
Hmm.
We talked about like just like all those little scenes there, like the unicorn. Oh, that was so sweet. No, no, it wasn't. Um, it's like I'm trying to think. Willow. I always get her name mixed up because I think of Ava. Willow Crown. Yeah, is that right? That's right, right?
Oh, yeah, Willow Crown. Do you mean that little treant or?
The little treant. Yes, the little
Yeah.
treant who became the first treant paladin. I want to say, was she a paladin? Was she a cleric?
Courtesy of the Tree Pope.
Courtesy of the tree pope. The tree pope has come and spread the word, and now all of the trees in that area are just like, go Helm, yeah, yeah. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it was fun to see. And also just to see Eve's character arc just fleshed out was really cool too. Like she had this backstory where uh that basically involved a vampire lord, and involved her father fighting said vampire lord, and vampire lord being after her mother, and as a result of that, vampire lord casting modified memory on her mother to make her forget about this other guy, and think and basically plan out that she belongs to him. So therefore, my character ended up growing up with only her mother because her father died in the fight against the vampire, and thinking that she basically grew up thinking that she was the daughter of a vampire when in reality she actually wasn't, even though everybody around her thought she was. So it was about just kind of discovering that, hey, it was really cool because she kind of slowly got to discover who her father actually was, and that was really cool.
And he only pooped on a few people.
Yeah, because he was a raven. Because the father actually was this Shatterkai ranger who was specializing in fighting undead. So naturally, Eve, I think Eve at one point ran into an encounter with the Raven Queen, and the Raven Queen sent her father to him in Raven form. So that's what happened.
Trying to
Man,
think
I love
back to,
that.
yeah, it's like trying to think back about all the little things that happened. Like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, and that. Oh right, and that happened. But it's just, I need to go back and like do the whole. I did that a while back where I had to put everything together in kind of a like a long recap as people were kind of like wanting to join and then quitting and then wanting to join and then quitting. Like, okay, fine. Well, I'm just gonna put everything together in a whole big thing so people can read about it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish that I still had the opportunity to do more with Cal,
Oh
um,
yeah.
because I have things that I want to do with them, but just where Cal is in their development right now, they don't really want to have anything to do with that, which, okay, that's cool, but you're running out of time. So it's like, okay, well, is what it is.
Yeah, the joys of joining a campaign late.
That it is. I feel like they've at least done a pretty good job of getting their character to where they want to be part of the family, which is good
Hmm.
because that didn't feel ridiculously rushed. It felt normal, it felt natural, it still felt like it was a good pace for that. So,
Yeah. And sometimes introducing a character late can be fun, and sometimes it could also be a challenge as a DM with incorporating that character into the world. Like, probably a good example of this that I think I did a good job of was when I ran the campaign that I did. There was somebody who joined the campaign a bit late, and her character, uh, of course, Tiff could probably guess who that player is just from my description of what happens next. But her character was I forget what race she originally was, but I think she wanted at one point to become a Warforged, and I was like, okay, Warforged currently don't exist in my campaign. So I was like, how is this even going to work? At first, my answer was a hard no, but then I thought, wait a minute. What if Warforged actually exist in my world? What would that look like? There's actually this one dwarven city over here that actually has some mines that and is caught up with this weird conspiracy. What if that conspiracy involved Warforged? What if that mine was actually a Warforged factory? So what I did basically was I decided to turn that mine into a Warforged factory and had the Warforged thing go through, and uh, that character got kidnapped, got taken into the mine, and the party had to basically kind of go rescue her from this Warforged factory. Of course, by the time at that time it was too late, and she was already a Warforged. But hey, it actually turned out to be a really fun dungeon and a really fun introduction of a race into the world. So that I thought was pretty cool.
uh, the Warforged. Yeah, yeah, okay, cool. Like I've seen some pretty good Warforged out there. It's I'm playing a campaign right now with a Warforged who basically is a take on gosh, what Macintosh app. He's like has so many computerized names with everything. It's like his creator was Nikola Tesla. His name is Mac. And it's like, oh man, he's always finding interesting ways to try to derail everything and do things all keep like chaotic and such. It's a lot of fun to play with him, but sometimes I just have to be like, dude, stop. Let us play.
Gosh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
where like I always kind of, especially with like my friends, I don't always have the time for like a full campaign. So I join in as like a guest character slash like co DM for certain situations. So sometimes I will be the villain, or sometimes I am just some guy who comes in and then gets engaged to a party member and then married.
Just randomly, oh, okay, yeah, guess we're married now. Cool, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then sometimes I'm just there to play a menagerie of NPCs in one session. I'll be every little encounter that you have of some weird kid making uh animal balloons or a thief in the night or whatever it may be.
Which honestly is still a lot of fun. I think that's a fantastic way to include people who have sporadic availability. It's like, oh, we want to play, you have availability to play. You can't commit to a full season, you can't commit to a full campaign, but you can jump in when you can and you can play this and you can play that. And it's always fun to kind of like see the cameos and give people an opportunity to jump in and just play a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
and like
indeed.
it's something that I greatly appreciate because I do not always have the best mental health to be in a campaign every day of the week.
Which is also a fair thing because the more you commit to something, there are other things in life that still are going to require your attention, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be so focused on, oh, I have to do this game. It's like, it's great. I love games. I am fortunate that I get to work with games. It's super fun for that too. But I also have to make sure that everybody that I work with recognizes real life comes first. And so many people who have like come through and like played with me and worked with me and everything who's kind of like, I have to stop. I'm like, okay, you need to stop. Real life comes first. When you are back in a place where you're wanting to play again, come back. We definitely want to see you again. This isn't us like pushing you away in any way, shape, or form, but you're right. Real life comes first. It's more important.
And that's always been like super implemented at my table. Like if I can if I have more than one person missing, I won't run the game at all. But if it's one person missing, then I will have something that is inconsequential to the plot happen. So let's say, oh, Tiff couldn't make it to session this week. Tiff's character is sleeping in at the inn. They are just so exhausted. They're getting in some extra rest. I'll even give you like a little like boon of temporary hit points or something while the rest of the party realizes that either all of their stuff got stolen and they have to find out who in the tavern did it, or they are locked out of their rooms because they left their keys inside or something along those lines. So they have their own little like mini adventure that doesn't affect the plot. So I have everybody there for the plot.
I think that's a like fantastic way to kind of go about doing things. It's like on the server that I run, it is primarily a play by post server, and so people interact when they can. And one of the things that I have to make sure people are aware of up front when they join us is, life goes on. Sometimes you might miss something, but you can go back and read it. Sometimes something might happen that you wanted to be part of, but other people were available and it just moved on without you. And it's kind of like that bittersweet feeling of like, ugh, I missed out on that. But the flip side of it is when you wait for everybody at all times, there's no progression. Everything gets
Exactly.
stuck
Yeah.
forever. It's like I would much prefer moving on and having people catch up than being stuck in the same place for months on end because no one's around to actually move things forward.
That especially
Exactly.
gets confusing with things like combat because
Yeah.
it's like it's like in a combat in a play by post format. So you go through everybody's turns, and then somebody's turn can come up, and what if that person's not available? Maybe they and you skip their turn, and then they come back maybe an hour later in the middle of somebody else's turn, and then you're like, okay, you could take your turn after this other person finishes, or this other player hasn't been back for at least 2 hours, and they have like three skip turns.
Well, and at that point, it becomes a question of like, is it worthwhile to pause and wait at that point? Or
Yeah.
is it something that is the combat nearly over and then you can just reconcile it and move things forward? Because realistically, when it comes to this game, it's kind of like what you were saying, Vice. It's like there are so many little things that can happen that you don't need everybody there for. If it's something that is very important for everybody to be there for, it's good to make sure they are there for it, or that they are prepared for it, or that they're caught up on it. Especially people who might want to actually do something in those situations. But there are so many other little things that could happen. Do you really have to be around to squash these tree frogs? Probably not. But you do want to be around for the bigger thing around the corner. So.
Yeah, and you also, of
Exactly.
course, want to be, and you also, of course, want to be present for things that primarily involve your character, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't, well, and that's a big thing too, is that you want to make sure that you have agency, that you are able to the best of whatever, to the best of what the dice decide, etc., etc. You have control of your character. You don't want to have that taken away from you unless it absolutely has to for some reason. And even then, I'm going to give you that pro tip here, people. If you're going to take agency away from a person, make sure they are okay with it before you do it. Explain to them what it is, explain to them why, make sure they know before you do anything what's going on, why, and how they can get that back.
Oh yeah. I have definitely had my fair share of like a DM that did not care. Um, we had talked about what my character's arc was going to look like, what it was supposed to look like, and then they let real world things influence in-game things, and then it wasn't even my character's story anymore. It became
Yeah.
very much it became very much what I didn't want for my character. Uh and it was getting to the point where I was like, I'm tired of playing this character. Can we just have this character die and I'll roll up a new one? Or like, can we have them leave and I'll roll up a new one?
Yeah, I had a similar kind of thing happen where it's like I had a character that was like kind of pushed into a certain direction. Like, oh, this isn't what she would have done. This isn't what I wanted her to do. I'm not allowed to leave until okay, cool. So it did kind of like take it stung a bit, I guess. It made it feel not great. And when you're playing a game, you want to make sure that the game stays fun.
Yeah, and like, if you're taking away, like, especially when it comes to like a character's backstory and like their growth, the character's growth, their arc, etc. Like, you can't just change that because it doesn't fit your story. Like, you can talk about that before the game actually starts and say, hey, uh, my game is going to be telling the story of like growth and recovery and healing. So maybe your extreme vengeance to villain arc that you have planned for this character might not be the best fit in this world. Like, that's
And
a
that's
conversation prior.
well, and that's an important thing to talk about too, because those are the conversations you do need to have, because there is I think Ava and I talked about this a few weeks ago, but there's no wrong way to play a game, but you have to be aware of what everybody else at your table is wanting and what everybody else at your table is doing. And if your character does not fit in, or if your concept for a character does not fit in with what the world wants, with what the people that you're playing with wants, it's not going to be a good time for everybody. Take that character somewhere else.
Exactly. Also, your audio got a little bit loud.
I am noticing that, and I'm not entirely sure because I'm not changing anything. Maybe move my. If that's a little bit better that way, am I?
Yes.
All right. I just moved. Well, now it's like it's popping up in the red every so often, like, but it's in the green, and then like randomly in the red. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, but cool. Sorry for bursting out eardrums, people. When that happens, it's not intentional. It's me trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it wasn't like absurd. It was just Tiff's either really close to the microphone right now, or
Well,
the audio just worked.
and that's a thing too, is that like I know that I'm not a very loud individual in the first place, and so even when I am eating my microphone, I call it eating my microphone because it's basically what it looks like. Sometimes people are like, I still can't hear you, and I'm like, is this better? And then I'm like, oh, yep, that's much better. But I'm moving things back to where I feel like it should be more comfortable, but I can't tell. And honestly, I'm one of those people, I love and hate Zoom calls because I cannot watch, I can't put my picture on a Zoom call. I cannot be on video. I just can't. Because I will spend the entire time watching myself talk and changing my expressions to make sure that I am, because I know that that's probably an autistic thing that I do, but it's like, oh, this is not the way I'm expecting to look. I'm wanting to show something else. I'm changing my facial expression, and I'm more focused on the way I'm looking and the way I'm sounding than what I'm saying. So I have to turn off my video all the time. Like, okay, if I turn off my video, then I can't pay attention to it. But now I've got this audio thing that's got my green and my yellow and my red, so now I'm paying attention to that, and I'm like, okay, so if I'm watching it, but it peaks to the red so quickly and so randomly that I don't know what I could. It was just in the red and it's there again, but I don't know what I'm doing because it's back to green, and I haven't really done anything different. So I think it just might be audio being weird right now.
No, I get that, especially with what you're saying about having the camera on. Like, it's part where I'm like, am I just like really full of myself and like, am I really vain?
Right? It's like,
Or
am
is
I?
it just audio?
That's exactly where it's like, am I really vain that I'm looking at myself and trying to put it right? Or am I like, but I feel like it's just me trying, like, the way I feel about it anyway, is that I'm trying to present myself the way that I want to be presented. And if I don't see myself, I don't worry about it because I can't see myself. But if I can see myself, I'll make those changes. And then I'll be focused on making those changes until I'm presenting myself in the way that I want to be presented. And it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of thought processing, a lot of things. Like, I'm just going to turn off the camera, simplify everything.
Oh yeah, like when I'm in my streams with the other streaming group, we always have our cameras on, and the entire time, if you like look at my like panel during the stream, I am just like staring at myself and like preening and like, we fix my hair real quick. Like, are my
Yep.
glasses too far down my nose? Like, am I smiling enough? Like, oh wait, gotta like look at the other people. All right, back to myself.
All of those little things, like, oh yeah, I have to pay attention to this and that, but yeah.
Blink. Remember to
Oh yeah.
blink, 'cause I will just
I stare. Yes, it's like I forget to blink every so often too. It's like I'm just staring. I'm looking at things. Like, okay, this is not. If I turn my face this way, it's a little bit better. Should I change my camera angle? It's like I don't like doing that, and so I just don't do it. It's like I know I will get caught up in it. Yeah, and when I need to be on camera, I am on camera. I was on camera like a couple weeks ago just randomly, and it's like, ha ha ha, but I had to do it for like a couple seconds. And then I've got like a few, I've done a couple video series where I had to be on camera in order to do like some presentations and such. But then I go and just try to prepare beforehand, and I don't look at myself on the camera. I turn the camera on, and then I ignore it because, again, I turn my monitor off so I don't have to see it. What can I do to not actually see myself? Because otherwise it just gets a little bit chaotic.
Oh yeah. I entirely get that. And especially with like making like eye contact and everything. Like, I
Eye
know that a
contact
lot
with
of
the camera's the worst because I'm looking at myself, and now I have to look over at the camera. Where is the camera? And I'm like,
exactly. And like, for me with my own like neurodivergencies, like I grew up, eye contact is so important. You look everybody in the eye when you talk to them. So instead of it being like, oh, I don't really like know how to make eye contact, or eye contact is uncomfortable, for me it is the opposite of, I cannot not look at your eyes while you are talking. I am going to
same.
stare into your soul the
Oh,
entire time.
oh my gosh. See, don't stare into my soul the entire time because that's what makes it so uncomfortable.
No, I don't know how to not do
It's like, please don't stare into my soul because that's what's going to make me look away. Most of the time when I am talking, I am still trying to like find the words that I'm looking for, and I find that if I'm looking at a person, I get stuck in their eyes and I get stuck in what they're thinking, and I can't think about what I'm thinking. And so I have to look away in order to find the words that I'm looking for. It's a really weird way of kind of phrasing it, but that's the easiest way I can say. If I go to the store, I feel so bad, but it's like I can't just randomly look people in the eye. I go up and I'll like pay for my stuff without even looking at the cashier. I'll be nice enough. I'll talk. I'll say things. But I can't look up. It's just going to distract me. It's going to keep me from being able to do things, and then I'll be stuck there and I'm not going to know how to move to the next bit. So I just move along.
No, I get that for sure. Because for me, it's once I make that like eye contact, like I feel like, oh no, I'm stuck in this zone.
Basically,
And
yes. It's like
can't leave it now.
yes. It's like I have looked you at the eyes. You have seen me. I am a real person. Oh crap, you're a real person too. Now I have to actually make small talk.
Now I'm existential, and now we have to
I-
make 30-minute long conversation.
Now I have to talk to you, and I have to make sure that things are okay. And it's like, it's hard because that small talk bit is also not easy. That small talk bit is hard. It's like, oh, cool. I have to listen to a person I don't know talk about things that I'm not really aware of. I need to find a kernel of interest in here somewhere without coming off too weird myself, because if I just jump right into D&D, it's either going to go really well or really badly. Little things like that. Things that I guess neurotypicals don't typically have to think about.
No, I get it. The small talk is the worst part for me. Like, I don't want to sit here and say like, "Oh, how is the weather doing? How about your kids?" Yeah,
Basically,
that's great.
it's
Like,
like, I know what's
I
expected.
hate that.
I will do it when I need to because it's the expected thing, and that's usually what happens when I get eye contact with somebody. It's like, oh, crap, now I have to go find something that I remember about you and ask about it to show that I care. But most of the time when I'm talking to somebody, I just kind of want to get something, I want to say something, I want to get something done, I want to get information. I tend to, oh, look who arrived. Hello, Ava.
Oh, party people.
Hello, party people. I guess that's perfect timing or whatnot. I just noticed that we're about 2 minutes after, so we should probably shift to break. And we'll see you guys in about 10 to 15 minutes for break. Or I guess we'll see about 10 to 15 minutes after break to start our first session of Vice's run of For Hire. So, yeah, see you soon.